yesterday, Tuesday, when Robert Saleh would not commit to starting Zach Wilson this weekend against the Bears, I said my sense of it was because Zach Wilson is still, despite 20 dreadful collective starts as a Jet quarterback, when your stats are on par with Jamarcus Russell, and the only difference is Jamarcus drank scissor and you're drinking your own Kool-Aid. That's it.
Stop.
I thought. Hold on.
Let me just give you that, please.
I thought that Robert Saleh was doing what Susan and I do with our kids, which is we're going to count to 3. Don't make me get to 3. You will not like it when I get to 3. I thought that's what he was doing, just to tell Zach, come on now. Because just to continue more analogies, we're all Jet fans, suddenly Mona Lisa Vito, stomping our feet. Our biological clocks are ticking because the defense is balling out and suddenly is arriving in the championship depot in the station earlier than anybody thought they could potentially pull in as such. And Zach Wilson goes and lays another egg against the Patriots, after which he's asked a point-blank question if he's let the defense down, and he says no, and he looks like a kid who just wants to get away from mom and dad because he or she senses the questions coming from mom and dad are all infused with disappointment and potential punishment. I thought, again, he's just counting to 3 because he's still the number 2 overall pick in the draft last year, and you can't bench him in the middle of the season without everybody thinking if he's toast. But Robert Saleh counted to 3 today. He counted to 3. And he is benching Zach Wilson and starting Mike White against the Chicago Bears. Mike White, who got 4 starts in place of Zach Wilson last year when Zach hurt his knee. He had a remarkable game against the Cincinnati Bengals, where he set a record for most touchdowns and no interceptions in your first career start, because he got some run against the Patriots when Zach was getting hurt. And then he got hurt against the Colts when everybody thought that he might actually have something here. If you remember that, he then has started a Thursday night and he got hurt in that game, and you were trolling me about Mike White creating a quarterback controversy.
It was a journalistic question,
and
Rich,
then he got blown
out
by the Bills, who admittedly Zach Wilson just beat. But you were a year ahead of your time, because now Mike White's the starter and Zach is in fact benched. Here is Robert Saleh making the announcement.
We're going to roll with Mike White. It's the same things we talked about when we elevated him to the second spot. It feels like 3 or 4 weeks ago. We know he's fully capable. He's started in this league. He's won games for us, and we just want to give him an opportunity. Zach's career here is not over. I know that's going to be the narrative. I know that's what everybody wants to shout out, and that's not even close to the case. The intent, the full intent, is to make sure Zach gets back on the football field at some point this year. When that is, I'll make that decision. I'm going to take it day to day. The biggest thing with Zach, and the same things that we've talked about, is the young man needs a reset. His decision-making's been fine. His practice habits, all that stuff have been fine, but there's some basic fundamental things that have gotten really out of whack for him. And this is just an opportunity for him to sit back, focus on those things, find a way to get reconnect to all the different things that we fell in love with during the draft process. And it's something that I feel like he's going to be able to do. I think to ask him to do all those things while preparing for a game is unfair. But at the same time, it's something, just talking with Zach, that I think we're all excited to attack. And this is, like I said, is it a small step back? Absolutely, for him. But do I think it's going to be a great leap forward when he does get a chance to reset himself? Absolutely. And so this is not putting a nail in his coffin. This is not that. It's not even close to that.
Interesting he uses that phrase because so many people are using that phraseology. Our friend RG3 said the casket was closed today at the end of a tweet that he put out there. And so many folks are saying that this is the nail in the coffin, because how do you bench somebody this young with that huge amount of expectation at the top of your draft last year and not have this be a complete devolution instead of the revolution we were hoping for. And that's a very sound supposition. It is definitely something that one would say in the history of the NFL, it's tough to come back from a benching like this.
No doubt.
But I say Robert Saleh clearly has his finger on the pulse of this situation. That's how I feel. I get this sense. I like the way that he's handling this because Zach Wilson is not, at present, a guy who can lead this team to the playoffs, and they have a shot to make the playoffs this year. Yeah, but Rich, he might no longer be the quarterback of the future anymore. Well, you know what? If this is something that he can't come back from, then he wasn't the quarterback of the future to begin with.
There you go.
Is my opinion on it. And it does appear that the coach, who is a defensive-minded coach, who has, no doubt, a championship-quality defense on his hands right now. A grown-ass man in Quinnen Williams blossoming into a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and Sauce being a Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate, and a Pro Bowler, and everybody in between. Clearly, when Zach Wilson said, flippantly, did you let this team down, this defense down? No. Clearly, that left a mark, as did other things, because here was the answer on this very thorny issue when put to Robert Saleh about having potentially lost the locker room with his comments after the game from Zach Wilson.
It's my opinion, and I know that, there's always going to be that discussion, well, he's going to lose the locker room, Zach doesn't have the locker room. I don't think players go out there, we play for one another, we fight for one another, we do that. But at the same time, I don't think a player is going to play any less harder because he doesn't like his teammate. He's playing hard for his family. He's playing hard for the guys that he loves on the team. But he's not going to turn it down because he doesn't have love for somebody. Now, with that said, I think, like I've said before, I think guys have empathy for one another when it comes to how difficult this job is and the heat of the moment and being at the end of the game and the way we lost and the way we all played. And for Zach and his teammates, I don't think they're. Maybe there was a little irritation at the moment, but I don't think there's a grudge. I don't think there's hate. I don't think there's lingering effects when it comes to that. So to answer your question, I had no bearing on this decision.
Okay.
I do like Robert Saleh.
I think in the New York media, he is handling this situation superbly. And I think he's got his finger on the pulse. And he says that didn't have anything to do with this decision. If there's irritation, he sensed it, and irritation can become irreparable. I have no problem with this maneuver at all. I think he's handling it, Saleh, perfectly, and I believe. Let's put it this way: you're hearing all about the 10-year anniversary of the butt fumble being yesterday, and that was Belichick. And Belichick once had Sam Darnold saying this.
Seen ghosts.
Right. Interestingly enough, we revisit this the day after Sam Darnold gets his job back in Carolina for the time being.
The resurrection.
And certainly now comes this, where Zach Wilson is supplanted by a guy who was drafted 169 spots after Sam Darnold in that 2018 draft. And that was after Belichick swept him. And it's Belichick's doing it again to another Jets young quarterback. I will say this. This kid kind of did it to himself, too. Because the simple stuff that Saleh's saying, that he's clearly off, can't get back to the kid who was doing things that made the Jets fall in love with him. It's because his footwork, all you got to do, look, I'm not an all-22 guy, but you could see when a guy is not setting his feet and the throws are sailing. You're seeing, and it happens over and over and over again, and it's just like, bro, get the basics down. Once you get the basics down, then we can work the magic. Right. Instead, he just thinks, I got the magic. At least that's the sense you're getting watching this thing. And then the lack of accountability after the game. It's just, It was something for Saleh to say, I'm hitting the pause button. Fine. If he didn't, basically is what I'm saying, if he didn't say what he said after the game, if he came on after the game and said what apparently Albert Breer said, Justin Fields said in private to his defense in Chicago saying, my bad. If he did anything like that, I think he'd be starting this week against the Bears. But the totality of it, Belichick didn't put a gun to his head and say, be thin-skinned on the podium or come across as such. And he clearly is who he is. And for the moment, Saleh thought he needed to hit the pause button. And in terms of him being done, okay, in terms of him being done and Saleh saying that this is not the case, I believe him there. All you got to do, look at Jimmy Garoppolo. I know they're different. I know they're different in terms of where they are in a career. We thought there was no chance. We thought the hottest place in the history of hottest places ever created, fictionally or real, would have to freeze over before he got a chance to stay with the 49ers, start for the 49ers, or be in this position of Thanksgiving week as a 4-touchdown throwing quarterback of the surging San Francisco 49ers. We thought that place would have to freeze over before he got that opportunity. So spare me the caskets closed talk. If I'm trusting Saleh to make this maneuver, I will trust him to rehabilitate Zach Wilson. Is it possible that one day we'll look back and he'll sit here and say, I needed that? As he's leading the Jets to playoff seasons in a row?
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah.
Is it probable? I would say, yeah, go higher register on that one. Yeah, maybe so. Not great, Bob.
Yeah,
not great. This is not the way I envisioned it. And Jet fans are freaking out, don't like it. Mike White, who could he be? Who is he? Because guess who's backing him up? It's Flacco. It's not even Zach. He won't be dressed. He'll be there with an earbud in and having to root on his teammates and watch. It won't be easy. So my message, I would normally deliver it myself, but I have my friend Gordon, who's going to do it for me to Zach Wilson.
This is your wake-up call, pal. Go to work.
That's it. This is your wake-up call, pal. Go to work.
Love it.
Footwork. Arm angle. Fundamentals. And then do your thing. Because the coach didn't say we're not going to see him anymore. He didn't pull like a Frank Wright saying you won't see him anymore, like Paul, like Paulie in The Godfather. Oh, you won't see him no more. No. The coach is saying this is not it. He's getting the sense of it, and kudos to him to have the brass to do it, and the brass to have him feel like he can do it. From the GM to the owner, Woody. I mean, it's in Saleh we trust, and I wouldn't have said that about some previous Jets coaches. So that's my 2 cents on the subject of the day.
Not in Ryan we trust? You wouldn't have said that?
No. I mean, for a split second, I would have. I would have said, Ryan, I'll follow his personality. Perfect for the Jets at the time, not kissing Bill's rings. And then he did what he said he was going to do, and then it all fell apart because it wasn't sustainable salary cap wise and Rex wise. But this is the way I'm feeling about it, and let's go. See what happens. And let the defense have its day, and let Zach come back and see if he can be the guy when chips are down. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.